Ariel Helwani in Baltimore alongside Jim Miller, who now faces Yancy Medeiros this Saturday night at UFC 172 live on pay-per-view. And Jim, this time last week, you were fighting Bobby Green.
That's right.
Now you're fighting Yancy Medeiros. You found out just a couple of days ago. What was your reaction when you found out about the switch?
This type of stuff has happened to me before, so I really don't let it bother me. I had a good training camp, feeling good, feeling sharp. It doesn't matter who steps inside the octagon against me. I'm gonna do my job. I'm gonna inflict damage and avoid damage to myself.
Did you consider not taking the fight?
No, not at all. No.
Because Bobby Green is a top-ranked guy. I think he's somewhere in the top 15. Yancy isn't. This is kind of, I hate to use the term lose-lose because you're still going out there and making money, but people are expecting you to win. He's not as well known as Bobby Green. So was there any thinking that maybe this isn't the smart fight to take?
No, not at all. I'm paid to fight. That's my job. So that's what I do. I enjoy it. I really do enjoy, stepping in there and fighting. And to decide that I didn't want to fight a certain opponent when you had somebody pull out it's just not my style.
Was there a period where you heard Bobby was out, but you didn't know Yancy was going to replace him, and you thought you might not get a chance to fight on this card?
I heard initially when he was out, and then talked to my manager Mike Constantino. He was talking to Joe Silva. It's the UFC, and it was a week notice. I knew they were going to find somebody. It's not like it was a day notice.
Which matchup do you prefer? Do you even have time to look at Yancy?
We looked at him a little bit, but it doesn't matter. I was looking forward to the Bobby Green fight, and if he gets healthy and maybe we'll meet up, and if I do what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to be here for a long time. I'm going to fight, everybody that works their way to the top.
Yancy doesn't have a lot of experience at 155, but in his last fight, he looked great against Yves Edwards, knocking him out. What do you think of him as a fighter? I mean, younger guy, obviously hasn't been in the kind of wars and fights that you've been in, but what do you think of his skill set?
He's a very dangerous guy, and he's a very game fighter. He's not going to back down, and I don't think he's going to be intimidated. So it's a tough fight and a dangerous fight. And like I said before, I got to do my job, and I got to punish him for stepping in there with me.
Do you even put in a lot of time watching tape? Like, did you do that with Bobby Green? In other words, there are some guys like Donald Cerrone last week who says he watches nothing. Then a switch like this wouldn't bother him at all. How about you?
I don't watch too much. I pay attention when other 55ers are fighting, and when I'm watching fights in general. Basically just picking apart technique and seeing what a fighter does and what they do successfully and what they don't do. So I have it logged up in my head, and I kind of remember those types of things. My camp, my coaches, they watched some tape, and we did do a couple things. We were training for specific things with Bobby, but really, it doesn't matter who I'm fighting. The goal is always the same, and get better as a fighter and a martial artist.
When we saw you a few months ago after your last win, especially after the fight, in the post-fight interview, it seemed like you were a man on a mission. Like you almost had a chip on your shoulder coming off the Pat Healy fight, yeah. Right? Have you carried that chip, or are you sent? Like I felt it, like it was like radiating out of you. Do you still have that chip on your shoulder?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it takes some negative things, takes some bad nights out to really wake you up sometimes. And it's not that I was not focused right or anything like that before the Healy fight. I was just trying to evolve, and evolution takes a little bit of time, and it's a painful process. So I learned things from that fight, and really I think the biggest thing is just mentally coming in with a different mindset going into the cage, and being a lot more relaxed, so I can see more.
Lightweight division is evolving a lot these days, and there are a lot of new contenders, but your name isn't being mentioned in that mix. Are you bothered by this?
It doesn't really bother me, but I'm going to keep fighting, keep winning, and knocking these guys off. That's my job, and beating them up.
Are you surprised Pat has been struggling so much since he beat you?
Yes and no. I wouldn't say surprised. He's a tough fighter, but he's got a very specific style of fighting, and he was the better man the night we fought. I let him dictate the fight, and he made me pay for it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but he's a tough fight for anybody, but he is beatable.
A little concerned about the beard situation here. I just saw Tim Elliott. He trimmed his beard. You trimmed your beard. What's going on?
We had a hot spell a couple weeks ago, and it was just too much.
That was the hot spell? I live around where you live. It wasn't that hot.
You know what? Not being used to 70 degrees, and then it hits like 75, and I was
Just went nuts.
Yeah.
Cut it all off.
Yeah.
But you're gonna keep it because I thought it was nice when it was.
Yeah.
out there.
You know what? It's an ever growing thing, and fluctuates. I don't really put too much weight into how thick my beard is.
We haven't seen your brother in a long time. I know he's coming off a serious neck surgery.
Mm-hmm.
How's he doing right now?
He's doing great. He made a full recovery. The tough part right now is getting back into training, but taking those baby steps and starting really light with the grappling and having guys tug on his neck and stuff like that. Because there still is the worry of potentially something happening, even though he is cleared fully to go into full contact. But that's one of the tough things about being the fighter and fighting at this level is the first time you step back into the room after a long layoff, you want to train just like you were before you got hurt. So we're really taking care not to let him get in too heavy and get too anxious about it.
Do you think he could fight again this year?
I hope so. He should be in hopefully summertime, June, July, something like that.
If all goes well with Yancy, do you want the Bobby Green fight or do you want to move on?
You know what? I'm not going to get hung up on him. If the match gets made, the match gets made, and I'll fight anybody. But I really want to get moving back up and fight guys that are going to move me up the ranks.
All right, looking forward to this fight very much. Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.